Not yet, not yet. End broadcast. No, don't end the broadcast. I just started the broadcast. Silly thing. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Maybe. There we are. Alrighty. Ask your viewers a question. Oh, YouTube never ceases to amaze me. In the chat at the bottom, it says, ask your viewers a question. Different. And let's just mute that so we're not getting a loop. Norman Rowe, how are you, bud? And we got John 2618, the first one in here today. Nissy J, how are you doing? And Homer 81. Very cool. Hiya, Sparky, John, Nissy, Homer. Hey, there's John number 2. Hiya, Sparky, and everyone. A few people popping in. Tried to get on time. I think it was like half a minute late. Got to work on that. I really do. So hopefully everything's coming in clear. Picture is 1080 because StreamYards doesn't have that little logo up there anymore. Kind of bought that. See how that works for a bit. Boulder Creek Yard, how are you doing? And got my mic going. No one's saying they can't hear me. My mouse moving, nothing's coming out. Nothing. Got 3 trains running, and hopefully they keep running. Only had that one little incident on the little preview, so we should be all right. Wonder where I put that. Oh yeah, I put that caboose on the end of the train, so we're okay. So, New Fenris Railroad, how are you doing, bud? So, I don't know. I put up a short audio and video 5x5. Thanks, Norman. You're the best, bud. That's why you got that wrench, just so you can tell me all that stuff. Hey, Leslie, how are you doing? And I put a short up right after I put the preview video up. I'm not sure how many people saw it, but buying things online, you got to be really careful of what you're buying sometimes, because I bought this. Now, if anybody's bought a Kirby kit, they know they're not cheap kits. Well over $100 for this kit. Canadian, of course. But I'm sure you guys can see what's wrong with it. I'm not going to say what's wrong with it. I'm sure you guys can see what's wrong with it. Kyle, nice to see you. Lynn, thanks for popping in. And Nate Jackson popping in. Chris Mitchell, how are you doing? And I do have another one of those kits, another Kirby kit. And this one is correct, but I can't really give one away without giving the other one away. I'd feel bad only giving something to that other scale. Digger Evans, how are you, bud? So we got this kit tonight, and we got this kit for some reason tonight. I don't know if anybody saw what was wrong with it. BNSF 6951, how are you doing, my brother? Yeah, he found out real quick. He saw what's wrong with that kit. But buying that, and then I bought that, and I can't do anything with this kit. So I'm going to have to give it away tonight, I think. And if I'm going to give one away, I'm going to have to give the other one away. Now, you guys have to explain something to me. And Dragon Lover, nice to see you. Go via or go home. Nice to see you in here, buddy. N Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision. Getting a few people in. How come I can't? Oh, 33 people. Okay. Dave, BNSF N Scale. Hey. Nope. You guys got to help me out with one thing here. This is an HO scale kit. This is an N scale kit. Why is this box bigger than that box? I don't understand that. Why is N scale bigger than, and look at the size of it. It's even thicker. There's something wrong with this picture. I think they're in the wrong box. So whoever wins those tonight, let me know. You might get the wrong kit. I'm sure you won't, but who knows, right? Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Lynn, sometime tonight. You never know. Down at the bottom, guys, I have been reluctant to do that membership thing on YouTube. But I finally kind of initiated it in fun, maybe. I didn't put the prices up too high, but there is a join button down at the bottom. If you want to, go for it. I still have my Patreon thing up. And Are the trains nice and clear for you guys? It kind of looks weird to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my eyeballs. Who knows? But yeah, there is that join down at the bottom. I think they're kind of cheap, unless you go to the last one, and then I'll just start giving you stuff if you do that one. That'd be crazy though. CP368, nice to see you. Sean McGee, you still got some wood over here, my friend. Uh-huh. Hey, we got our first one. Lynn, how are you doing? Thank you. That's cool. That is kind of cool, actually. So, hey, thanks. And like I said, I'll try it out for a bit and see how it goes. I was just kind of screwing around with it, and YouTube locks you in. So you put the prices up there that you were kind of doing. So I did one, and then I did two, and then I did the third one. And the third one, I'm like, I really don't want to do this anyway. But they lock it in. You cannot change the price. I'm like, what? How can that be? So Boulder Creek, thanks for a new member. And we got Dwight Curley. Gee, I'm going to have to like get something special for these things. Nuts and Bolts 77, new member. Hey, this is cool, guys. I didn't think it would take off like that, but right on. I know what you guys are doing. It's all because of these contests. So that's kind of what I was looking at. YouTube says you cannot have a contest with your members only. So I won't do that. Ever. Why do my trains sound like they're going fast? No reason. So yeah, if you're a member, I can't just do a contest just for you. At all. But you never know. Something might be done. That stinking Caboose did. Again. I don't believe this. Yep, the Caboose again. Oh well, that's all right. Whatever. It's off there now. We won't have any more problems, right? Oh, geez. So I don't know if you guys read the description at all. Virtual convention was last week for the NMRA. And I will put the link up in the chat if anybody wants to come up and talk about it. It was held by Rails of the Bay, so it was done in California because it was their year to hold the national convention. And as of January, they started planning on doing a virtual event. Now, TSG Multimedia recorded pretty much all the clinics that were on there, so it worked out really well. So I'm just going to quickly explain how it worked. Caboose 121 saying hi, Boulder Creek. Thank you very much. And Lehigh River Subdivision. Hey, everyone. Sorry, I can't personally say hi to all of you. I'm eating dinner currently. I'll do that right afterwards. Dan's Model Railroading Journey. I did not attend it. I did. Wow. So I'm quickly going to go through how we kind of set it up. TSG did all the clinics. I'm not going to say he did all the clinics. People recorded their clinics with a recording artist. The recording artist then sent them all over to TSG Multimedia because that's his company. He produces videos. Put them all together. So now we've got all these clinics. There was 6 each morning, 6 each afternoon, and 6 each evening. So quite a bit of clinics to go through. There was a main hall. So just like any convention, you walk in, you're greeted by a couple of people. We couldn't take your money because you already had to pay to get into it. I would have gladly took more money, but you know what I'm saying, right? And you're met by people in the Great Hall. It was always 2 people in the Great Hall meeting people, putting links up. That was kind of my job. I volunteered for it. So yeah, I spent a couple days, 13 hours each day, putting links in the chat. The bad part about it that I found is every time somebody new came into the Great Hall, you had to put the links back up because the chat wasn't there for that person. So say Caboose 121 came in, and he's like, oh, what's the links for the clinics on right now? So I put all the links up. And then Vinny, BNSF 6951, he'd come in right after I got all those links up. And he would say, well, I want to go to the clinics. Where's the links? And I'd have to put the links up again. keep talking to everybody. Plus, after all the clinics were done, there was something called breakout rooms. So you came back into the Great Hall, and then you walked down. If you were in an actual convention, you'd walk over to a room and you go in and you meet people and you do the clinics. And the breakout rooms were after the clinics. So the clinician, the guy that was hosting the clinic, would go down into the breakout room, and then everybody could talk to the person, ask them questions and everything. It was just like a virtual Zoom meeting at that time. This went on from Tuesday to Saturday night. 1 o'clock in the morning was the Eastern, was the ending time for everything. And I'm telling you, I think it went off without a hitch. We had a couple of times that it did go down, but virtual convention to me was just awesome. Now, you couldn't do it in person, obviously, so the virtual thing was about as good as we could go. The Train Freak, you know, if you wore an eye patch with the beard, you could be a bearded pirate. I got to find the beard. I don't even know where it is. I had it the other day. There it is. Train Freak, go get you the beard, buddy. Yeah, it's inside right. And I don't have an eye patch, but we can go like that. There we go. How's that for an eye patch? Train Freak, very much. Thank you. You're awesome, bud. So I'm putting the link up in the chat. If anybody did go to the virtual convention, I would love for you to come up and talk about it and what you thought was good or thought was bad or what needed improvements or what worked well or anything. And that'd be kind of a cool discussion, I think. Because I think virtual is going to be the way that a lot of things are going to go. Whew, I got hot real quick. I don't have the air conditioning on in here right now, so wigs might be better. Randall, how are you doing, buddy? Chris Mitchell, Wig Wag Workshop. And saying hi to a few. Wait, Curly, nice to see you, bud. Marta was timed out by Vinny, by Sean, by John, by Drew. I guess that person said a few things that they didn't like. So, oh, we got one and we got two. Thank you very much, Lynn and Nissy. I find the interest of this. And James is down in the basement. He was actually hosting a couple of the events, the clinics that were on in the NMRA convention, virtual convention. So we'll get him up here in a second, and he can talk about his experience. Nuts and Bolts 77, good one, Train Freak. I'll put the glasses back on you for you right now. I might even do a hat. Hold on. I got a hat. I got a hat. I got a hat. I got a hat. So I just want to say one thing about the virtual convention is we did talk about it afterwards. Brian Page, nice to see you, buddy. And Thomas Grassi, hi, Sparky, just got home from work, 2-hour ride. Yeah, don't do. I will travel an hour now. It's I get home at 6:30 and my live stream's at 7. I'm telling you, I'm crunched for time. Got to start setting this stuff up the night before. So, K&R Custom Models, the Tinkering Geek, nice to see you. Jason's Beard, Breed. Jason's Breed. I hate this. I hate this too. The hair makes you look like Ozzy. Cool. Not a problem. So I just want to touch on the last part that we kind of, what? Oh, that's me holding that up. I'm looking at a picture, for crying out loud. Anyway, be with you momentarily, Jason. Just hold on. Not quite yet, bud. Just relax. But one thing we were talking about after the convention, being a virtual convention, is even after the in-person conventions can start for the NMRA, what we were kind of talking about is a lot of people can't make it because of like disabilities, money, finances, location, spot in the world that you are. Like it's a global event, right? So holding partial virtual convention, I think, is still going to be something that we're all going to see. There'll still be a bit of a price tag to it, probably about $49. Don't quote me. This is just stuff that everybody's kind of talking about. And what it's going to be is like, okay, I can get to it in person. So I go and I get, it's like any trade show, convention, anything like that. You go, you meet, you pay your fee, you go in, you see the vendors, you do the clinics if you sign up for them, so on and so forth, just like anything, right? But the virtual one that they're talking about is every once in a while I have a camera on the front door. You get to see who's coming and going. You get to see the Great Hall or the meeting room type thing. So that'll stay there for the whole part of it. Oh, thank you very much. Love the super chats and super stickers. And then what they're going to do, they can do virtual cameras off to the side. So if they have a clinic or something going on, they can do that live still. So it's still going to be a virtual convention, I think. Like I said, this is just preliminary talks with the NMRA. And you can still go in person, like I said, but if you can't make it, then it's still going to be a bit of a virtual. You won't get the whole aspect of it, obviously, but they're going to make it so you can still make it to a few of the clinics if you're virtual. Still watch the Great Hall type thing or the meeting room where everybody's coming in and going. They're going to try to have more vendors online so you can actually get some building or some buying codes, coupon codes, stuff like that. Going from there. So if you guys can come up and let me know what you guys are thinking about virtual conventions, virtual train shows is kind of a grasp, but you got Springfield, you could always do that. I know they did try to do the virtual convention type thing for Springfield. I think that was in February. So, but we do have James down in the basement. Guys, he did take part in the national convention. He was a clinician, and he also did live streaming. I'm going to let him explain it, but you could actually run the trains on a layout from your computer on his layout or his club's layout. So let's bring him up. Hey, James, how are you doing?
All right. Can you hear me just fine?
I can hear you, bud. Hopefully everybody else can too. Like I said, guys, there is that new join button down at the bottom. Go ahead and hit it. And I do have later on tonight, we keep the numbers up. We do have a contest giveaway. Kirby kits are not cheap. So we got to get the numbers up watching, guys, or I can't give them away because we got to get the numbers up. Simple as that. So, but let me know your thoughts, James, on the virtual convention just to start. Has somebody that went to it?
So I also did the Pacific Coast region virtual convention, and that was kind of a test drive for this. That one was free. This one was $50. But the amount of production value and quality for the national convention was it was significantly higher. They learned a lot of lessons from that whole thing, and the advantage was they did a lot of pre-recorded clinics for the national convention, or they did pretty much all pre-recorded clinics. And, it was kind of like just sitting there and listening to something like at a regular convention. Now, I've never been to an NMRA convention, but I've been to other conventions, so I know what it's like. One of the huge advantages is also you get to talk with the clinician right away instead of having to wait towards the end for questions. You can ask them something like right away. So that was a huge change from a regular convention.
Yeah, so that was one thing of it too. Like the clinics were pre-recorded. They were about 40 minutes to 50 minutes usually. They tried to keep them around there. But as you were watching the recorded part of the video, the person that was actually doing that video was actually in the chat. So if you had a question, even during the video, you could ask that person at that time. So it was kind of like watching it live.
Yeah. And that was a huge advantage to the convention. And then the other fact is you get to go back and watch this stuff, because I know there was some stuff in one of the tracks or basically one of the rooms versus the other one, and you kind of had to like sit there and decide which one you wanted to go to, and you'd have to do that at a regular convention anyway. Yeah. But the advantage is this way you get to go back and watch it again for about a month or so. There were some people who didn't want to be recorded on this, so they kind of reached a middle ground of we'll have it up for about 30 days or so for people to go back and watch it. And then the other thing was the breakout rooms. You get to talk to everybody pretty much like you got to talk to them in person. One advantage to the way that the breakout rooms work, the birds of a feather rooms work this time is everybody, for a certain topic is kind of on topic. You don't have a bunch of people spread out everywhere. Now, one of the disadvantages of Zoom is it's single threaded. You can only have like one person talking at a time, but since you're talking to the clinician on something interesting, everybody gets to hear it. and everybody gets to talk directly to them. It doesn't get split up into little groups of people.
Yeah, well, when the rooms did start getting busy, like when we had the guest speakers and stuff on like that, one of the features that, like, I was part of this too, is you get to moderate the chat a little bit by muting people. And there was a button on there that said you got to raise your hand, and it puts you up at the top of the screen. So if you're watching and there's 50 people in there talking at the same time, obviously you're not going to hear anything. So they ask you obviously to mute yourself, or somebody's going to mute you. But you put your hand up, and the person who was actually hosting the event at that time would just go through the people that have their hand up at the top, call them out. They'd unmute themselves and talk that way. And it worked out great. There wasn't a lot of people a lot of the times talking over anybody. Like even in the Great Hall was the part I was working in. And that was kind of a free for all. I would still mute people every once in a while, and there was a mutual respect for that, I think. People knew if you wanted to hear something, you had to shut up until it was your turn. But it was just, even like I said, in the Great Hall, even there, you might have had a couple instances where you might get 2 or 3 people talking at the same time. So I found that part okay. Like you get to raise your hand and you were heard. So it's not like a regular convention where you go, and this was kind of talked about too. You're holding the clinic, and I want to ask you a question at the end of the clinic. So I go up there. You have 2 more people in front of me asking you questions. And I'm a nice guy. I stand back and I'm talking to my friends and stuff like that. Well, now it's my turn, and I turn around. The next guy walks right up there and starts asking me questions. Well, you can't look at him and say, "Sorry, bud, I got to talk to this guy." That's a rude type thing. So one of the greatest things I thought about being on the virtual side of it was exactly that. Everybody got a chance to talk, ask a question, and they didn't end the group, the room, or anything until everybody had a chance to talk.
And the other thing is, aside from a clinician standpoint, since they were all pre-recorded, people have these visual or audio tics, like when they're talking faster than they can think. So you don't really have that when you do the online clinic or the pre-recorded clinic, because John could go edit those out. So it sounds a lot smoother. You don't have those times where somebody's pausing for a second and it kind of breaks the focus of the crowd. That's all edited out. It's smooth. It sounds really good. So that was one of the huge advantages from the clinician side. And then you also don't have to think about it while you're chatting with people about like different questions and whatnot. So that's another huge advantage for being a clinician.
For sure.
And then aside from producer standpoint, which is what I did on Saturday morning, you don't have to. It was really simple. You log in, you basically press 2 buttons, and the whole show starts rolling. As long as you paid attention to what John had sent out earlier, it was really, the production value was all taken care of beforehand, and it was as simple as hitting play, more or less.
Yeah, there was a bit of a learning curve with it, but Sydney, John's wife, she sent out a lot of help emails, some learning emails, and training emails and stuff like that, even before we got started. So that helped a bit too. So
and the training Zoom meetings and whatnot were pretty nice.
Yeah, I had to miss all those. One was on a Wednesday. I gave her shit for that.
I missed that one too, and I did mine on like the Friday before or something like that.
Now, you also did something else where, like me, I want you have a club layout, right?
Mm-hmm. Silicon Valley.
Yeah. So, do you want to explain what happened with that?
So, usually at a big convention, you have different operating sessions, along with club tours and whatnot, which we had those. They were just pre-recorded, a lot of John's pre-recorded stuff, and then other people had stuff that they recorded. And that took the place of going out and touring these layouts. The other thing you have is the virtual the in-person op sessions, where you sign up for an op session at one of these layouts and people host them up. Now, since it was virtual this year, we couldn't do that, and we were able to add virtual op session for Silicon Valley lines. Whoa. You have somebody that needs to moderate something.
Yeah, I see that one too.
Wow. It's the first time I've seen something like that in a long time on one of these streams. So one of the advantages, or not advantage, but sorry, let me get back to where I was. I'm going to close that real quick so I'm not eyeing it. So we had a virtual operating session where you could sign up. We had the capacity for about 30 people, and we had about 20 people sign up. We had a couple of issues at the beginning of it because it's kind of new tech, and we're using JMRI in this kind of weird way with these virtual tokens and stuff like that. So basically, we could send out an email to a person who signed up for the like 8:30 running slot. They'd click a link, and it would take them straight to a web throttle on their browser, and then they could run around Silicon Valley lines. And to make it simple, so people didn't have to learn the whole layout ahead of time or feel intimidated about operating, we did our open house layout, which is basically kind of like your circular layout. I think around your middle deck where you can do a continuous run, right?
My main deck I can do.
Yeah, your main deck. Yeah, it's very similar to that. We have it set up where it goes through the helix around the outside of it, down on the main deck, and you basically do a big loop and you end up where you started out. We have signals and all that stuff that change, and you get an engineer's view of the track. We did have a couple of issues, so it was kind of problematic, but once we got
Manny.
right,
Thanks very much, buddy.
well.
We'll get James to wear a wig next.
I don't have any here in my office. I'm at work right now. About to finish out the day.
Yeah, they're saying it's whack-a-troll night.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I haven't had that for a long time, actually. So
yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time either. So
no, lots of moderators, and they're really good at their job. So it's unfortunate they had to actually work for a living. And they don't get paid very well. So
they've had most of the nights off.
Yeah, so you did say you had a couple hiccups when you were doing it. I did go back and actually watch some of the videos of that too. So
yeah, you couldn't hear me on mute over there screaming at the JMRI computer. So basically, yeah, it uses JMRI, and then the cameras themselves are little Raspberry Pi units running Linux software and MJPEG Streamer, which streams to an IP address so you can view it in a browser multiple different ways. And then the way the token works to get the camera actually on the JMRI throttle, we have basically a redirect in JMRI and then on our router. So you have to make sure this table of things match up. And I got a couple of the numbers wrong at the beginning. And then when we switched over to the next group of people, it wasn't working right. So we just abandoned that and used JMRI's built-in full featured throttle. But we had a bunch of stuff pulled out of it. So basically you just click the link and it took you right to the train that you were supposed to operate for that evening.
Now, a quick question about those cameras. Did you guys make them up yourself?
So they're just the Raspberry Pi Zero Ws, the little ones, the single board ones with no network cable or connection on them or whatnot. And then they have either a battery pack from like a cell phone or something like that on them.
Okay.
Or they have a Raspberry, I called it JuiceBox Zero. It's a little battery-powered hat that sits on the Raspberry Pi and takes battery power in from like a regular battery pack with a certain type of connector. And so it's all off-the-shelf stuff, including the operating system that we put on it. It's just the version of Raspbian that the Raspberry Pi is run with MJPEG Streamer. And we basically just took a whole bunch of things and packed it all together to get it to run properly. It's a little slow. The Raspberry Pi Zero Ws don't have a whole lot of power. Yeah. But if anybody has an O-scale layout and they can run a dummy unit out in front, they can run the full-size Raspberry Pis, and it would just be so much better. But since we're modeling in HO scale, we've got to fit within such a little amount of space that we can't get the full-size ones on there.
Yeah, so it's still got its limitations, but you guys did get the aspect across. And I think it was kind of fun that like me can run a layout or a train on your club layout. I thought that was really cool to watch that way. So
we had people from Australia all the way on the East Coast, and I don't know if we had anybody in Europe this time around, but we might have. I can't remember exactly who we had, but we had people from Australia running. Mm-hmm. And Lynn McCurdy, it's kind of complicated. However, if you want to look at it, if you go to the Silicon Valley Silicon Valley Lines website, we have a cab cam project on there. If you want to look it over, we made it as easy as possible, even as simple as downloading an image that's already basically ready to go. So if anybody wants any help with this too, you can email me at I think it's svl@siliconvalleylines.com, and we can go over it if you need any help.
Now, do you have some videos on your channel about that kind of stuff too, or?
I don't know if they're on. I don't think I have any on my channel about it. They're all on the Silicon Valley Lines YouTube page. If you want to get a view of what the engineer will see, we also have some videos on what the throttle looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You can view it with the little camera and stuff on there. It runs on computers, cell phones, basically anything with a built-in web browser, so you don't have to install any software. It's pretty awesome.
Right. So getting back into the virtual national convention, what were some of the things that you really did like about it? Well, let's start off with the $49. Is that a ripoff or what?
At first, I was kind of hesitant about it, but once I actually paid it, and once I saw it, because I got to see some of the content beforehand due to being a producer, so I was like, oh, this is, I learned so much there, even if I don't remember a lot of it right now because it kind of came at you kind of quick. I plan to go back and rewatch some of the things that I found really interesting and just write down the ideas that people had or things that I thought were really good.
Yeah, because with your paid subscription, you get to go back until I think it's August 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
My overall favorite thing about it, though, was probably just talking to people. I spent a lot of time in the breakout rooms, even if something was going on that I was kind of interested in, just because talking to other people, the flowing of ideas and whatnot, just hanging out with people was pretty awesome. And then, because I know I can go back and rewatch a lot of that stuff later. So it's probably the birds of the feather room.
Yeah. So Robert was just saying it was free for me. I use my CC points. I'm not quite sure what CC points are. So
like credit card points.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Credit card points. Silicon website. Oh, Vinny's got that up for you. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Vinny. Norman Rose saying for $49, the clinic should stay up longer. They are kind of thinking about that too, but there might be more things coming live afterwards. It's still something new, right? So
part of the issue with that is there was some of the clinicians who just didn't want their stuff to be up for however long for whatever reason. So they kind of had to find a point that everybody would agree. Maybe at some point they'll start going through and maybe remove some of the stuff for the people who had issues with being up for longer. But that, I believe, is why it was that amount of time, is because people they didn't want their stuff to be up recorded. And I can understand that to a degree.
Yeah, so when I said $49, that's a little much. I was trying to be sarcastic on it because once you actually took part in it, the $49 was literally nothing for the amount of clinics that you could go to. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're up until August 7th, so you can go back and watch them later for a little while. The people that you got to meet, and like you said, the talks were, I think, one of the best aspects of it, because you could talk to everybody. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, like I said, you weren't sitting in the back and then going, well, can I? And, oh, no, I got to get to the next clinic right away, and I got to do this, and I got to run all the way across the lobby type thing to get to the next one. Or another. Everything was all in one spot for you. So it was really, I thought, really well laid out that way.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I was a little apprehensive with the price at first, but then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, what am I even worried about? That's basically nothing, especially when you consider going to a regular convention. If something comes up at the last second with a regular convention, the problem with that is you either have to just abandon what you've already paid for, and the advantage with the virtual thing is you could have signed up at the last second or even part of the way through it and gotten access to all that information. So that is one big advantage as well.
And a lot of the others,
probably 300 people that signed up at the last minute.
Oh, there was quite a few that way too.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, a lot of people said, is they got to get the hotel, the plane fare, the driving there, cabs, staying up all night because you're going to meet people and you're going to do that type thing. Like, there was so many aspects that you did save money on. $49 was nothing really. Like, even look at this. Like, This kit was over $100. That was a mistake. I spent over $100 on a mistake. So $49 to go to a virtual train convention, NMRA convention. Like, I'm sorry, but more people should have went. I think they had over 700 people signed up for it.
Mm.
There's got to be more word out there, I think, about how good it was and how well it was laid out, how easy it was to access, everything else. And like I said, I really think, I don't know if you were part of some of those later conversations about later on, like, are virtual train shows and conventions going to be a thing of the future too, or is this it?
So on that, I'm hoping not. Like, there's still a lot of thought to be put into this going forward with virtual conventions. But like at Silicon Valley Lines, we're not getting rid of the remote ops when we go back to in person, which is starting up now that California's relaxing a lot of their stuff and the just the risk has gone way down. So we're not getting rid of it because what if somebody's breaks their leg and can't come down, or what if somebody's on vacation? That's another thing. If they're on vacation, they still want to join in. Maybe it doesn't have to be as big of a deal like this time, or maybe it's some of the stuff from the regular convention. It's a hybridized type thing, or maybe every other year. I think that there's going to have to be a lot of talk about that, and possibly some input from everybody else too.
Well, I don't know if you've seen it in some of the chats or something, but there was actually a couple of people that just got out of the hospital. One was even still in the hospital, and he was at the train convention watching from their beds.
Yeah.
So it was an opportunity that they would have had to miss otherwise.
So I saw somebody else here had mentioned, I was only reading it really quickly on your chat, that they are just way out in the middle of nowhere and it's hard to get to stuff like that. I'm not sure if they actually went or not. I didn't get to see that. Yeah, there's the man himself.
One of them.
Oh, and the woman herself is behind him.
Yeah. She's going to be real happy to know that she's on TV. Watch how quickly she gets out of the picture. Oh, maybe not.
The secret producer herself. Hello, my dear.
She's walking around with her phone watching your show.
Oh, geez.
So, I just got back. I've taken a couple days off from all of this stuff. And I was out shooting arrows at the archery range.
Okay, so you weren't shooting at the trains, were you?
No, I wasn't shooting at any people either. Probably a good thing.
So we were just, James and I are just kind of shooting the crap a little bit about the virtual convention, and a lot of people that weren't at it, obviously. So we're trying to kind of say, hey, we got to get more people interested in how good it was. James highlighted some of the stuff that he was involved with. Do you want to highlight what you were mainly involved with?
What I was involved with?
Yeah.
Well, the thing I was mostly involved with was putting together the content. So that was a big deal too. There was a lot of content. There were 72 clinics, I think, and we recorded all of them ahead of time.
Now, what was the whole reason for recording them? Why didn't they just go live?
The easiest answer to that question is to prevent technical problems. So I don't know if you've paid attention, but there are people who have done stuff live like that, and there's all kinds of problems. Oh, hold on, let me share my screen. Oh, wait, you're muted. Oh, the dog comes running into the room. Sit down, Rover. Just don't crap on the rug. Stuff like that. And frankly, that happened a lot during the recordings. There were dogs crapping on rugs, but there were a lot of problems during recordings where the phone rang, stuff like that. So in order to, I guess, limit the possibility for that happening, we recorded ahead of time. And if it did happen, which I can tell you, it did happen quite often. I recorded a bunch of the clinics. It got edited out. So it provided a smooth flowing presentation of the information that the clinicians were presenting. and it worked really well.
Yeah, the biggest thing about that is your clinics all had a certain time period they had to get into, because there was 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, 3 in the evening, and
Yeah.
if somebody was actually going live, it could have actually gone an hour and a half. The way some of those clinics went, people were really engaged with them. Hence,
Yeah.
we had breakout rooms afterwards, which a lot of those rooms just went crazy with 50 to 70 people in them at sometimes.
Oh yeah. I was actually monitoring the attendance in one of the clinic rooms during the convention, and it peaked at 148 people
Wow.
watching. That was pretty impressive. I mean, considering, I don't know. I mean, I've had live shows on YouTube and they peak at 80 to 100. So to have 150 at the same time watching a clinic,
Yeah.
and think about this. I think James was alluding to this right when I first popped on, unless I was misunderstanding what he was saying. But if you had 150 people in a room, there would have to be people in the back of the room, and they would not be able to see or hear what was going on.
Mhm.
Online, on a recorded clinic, everyone has the same seat. It's a front row seat. And because they were professionally edited and put together, then you could see and hear everything. And that was one of the things I did when I was putting what we were calling the session blocks. That's all the clinics that were in a single session, like the afternoon session or the morning session. I edited those together and I equalized, or I normalized the sound levels. So you wouldn't have one that was really loud and one that was really quiet and then something else that was really loud. So you're having to adjust your volume up and down the whole time. They were all about the same. So I don't know. I just, that's just the way I want to see things. And I thought that if we were going to be charging people $50, which is practically nothing for what they got, if they were paying anything, it had to be.
We'll record this and play it later.
Yeah, it had to be a professional presentation, and we really delivered that. I can't tell you how many people were saying how great the clinics were because you could see and hear everything.
Yeah, and
So.
I did get in to see a couple of them too, and they were exactly that, professionally done, watching them, and flawless. And it was one thing that I always said in the Great Hall, because like I said, that's to people earlier, that's where I was for my 2 days, basically, was in there greeting people. And when the sessions would start, or the clinics would start, I'd always say, okay, guys, click that link right now and be first up there. You'd be right in the front seat.
Right.
You get to see everything. Well, it doesn't matter who clicked what, when. They were always going to be, like you said, right up in the front. You're going to see everything because it's right there on your screen.
Yeah.
You weren't fighting with the tall guy in front of you, or two people kind of doing the shovey thing and all that.
Yeah.
Crap.
Dude with the giant hat in front of you.
The big wig.
Oh yeah, that would be if you were there.
So some of the clinics were so good that I saw people like trying to ask the person to move the camera or something like that because they either didn't know that they were pre-recorded, and they were just clear enough and good enough that people didn't realize they had been recorded at some point in the previous couple of months and whatnot.
Yeah, I saw that. Someone was saying, "Can you move the camera closer or whatever?" It's like, dude, it's not live.
So I mean, that's also one disadvantage of it too, is you can't make those on-the-fly changes. But I don't think you really even be able to do that too much in a regular clinic, because who's going to be showing an up-close view of a car that they're doing right then and there?
Mm-hmm.
You're not really going to see that very much, and I don't think if anybody has a kind of overhead projector type system.
Yeah, split.
There is a question for us that we can. I'll just throw it up there. But name one thing you would change for the next virtual convention.
I know what I would change.
Well, okay, we'll let you go first.
Okay. I don't know if that's a question for me or not, but
I think it's for everybody. We're all here, so we all took part of the convention. So
I think what I would change is the platform. Zoom, I don't think is really designed or engineered for what we used it for. I think it's more for smaller groups or shorter time frames, because during the, I have hiccups now. During the convention, the Great Hall, which was basically a big Zoom meeting, it actually went down. All the breakout rooms crashed and they had to be restarted. And Drew Dude's model trains also hit another thing that I would do. I would have to have more editors to edit the videos. Now, Heath was really nice and helped out toward the end. There were about 3 or 4 that he did, which I was really grateful for, because by the time I was at number 68, I was pretty much done with that whole process. But here's the funny thing. Even after he edited them, I still had to go back and do some work on them. Not because Heath did anything wrong, but because I had to place them into the larger session blocks, and I had to create titles for them. Because before every clinic, there was a screen that said what was coming up. It had the logo of the convention, as well as the name of the person and the name of the clinic. And it was on for 8 or 10 seconds, something like that. Robert Darby is also pointing out something that I would change. I would have more vendors present.
Yeah, we did discuss that in the Great Hall afterwards.
Yeah, I would definitely have
Gordy
that.
was there. Gordy actually explained part of the vendor part too, that over in the UK, they've already got this kind of thing going on, and vendors are already taking part in that kind of thing. So
yeah,
I think it's got to be sold to the vendors a little bit better.
Well, here's right. I can explain what happened there. It was about maybe 2 weeks before the convention was going to go live, and someone had the idea to do it. So we did not have any time at all to have someone actually call people and say, hey, do you want to be part of this? There were I think half a dozen people that got called by 1 or maybe 2 people. I could have called a bunch of people, because I know a bunch of people that are either work for or own or are part of manufacturers, but I didn't have time. I was trying to edit 72 videos together into these session blocks, and there was just no time. Now, here's something interesting that just got handed to me by our top secret assistant producer here.
It's still a secret on YouTube.
Yep. There were actually 256 people in one of the clinic tracks. That was our highest recorded number at one time, 256. And then so far, and this is great, this is really cool actually, there's over 5,000 views of the clinics on replays.
No, not on replays. That's our live convention.
Oh, the live convention had 5,000 views? How's that possible? Oh, well, 5,000. Yeah, 5,112 separate views. So that's a lot of views, and that's a lot of reach. So one of the comments I heard that was baffling to me was people were saying, oh, there were only 600 people there, right? Only 600 people.
That's a lot of people Zoom call.
That's a lot of people. And I'll tell you, when we were putting this thing together, we were hoping for 250. That would have been that we would have considered 250 a success.
Yeah.
But in the end, there was, I think, 600 and some numbers over 600. And then to have someone say, well, there's only 600 people, we had a few things working against us. One of the things that happened was early on, around January or February, when they announced that the in-person convention was going to be called off, there was email that went out to everybody in the NMRA that said, the Rails by the Bay convention is canceled. See you next year.
Yeah.
They didn't say the in-person convention is canceled and they're going to do it virtually, so be sure to join them. They said, it's canceled. See you next year, which to me means nothing's happening. And if the NMRA national, whoever did it, didn't put that message out and put out the correct message, there would have been excitement started right away. So we were working against that. Another thing is, right now, there are a bunch of things opening up right now, and people are getting back into the regular swing of things. I don't think they should be, because there's still a lot of unvaccinated people that are going to create a problem with the showstopper. But I'm not going to get into that.
No.
But there were a lot of things that could have been done way better, that were on our side of things. This wasn't something that I could have done. I mean, I went out and pounded the pavement for this thing for months before it started. I did several shows on my channel talking about it. I did a show with James Wright talking about it. I did a show with the NMRAX guys talking about it. We did a show with Joe Fugate talking about it the weekend before it started. So we did get out and do some stuff, but there wasn't a lot of, it didn't seem to me like there was a lot of social media outreach between the
I know
months
I dropped the ball when it came to that because
between the months of
I didn't throw it out on my channel either. So
okay, well, between January and July, there just wasn't enough. And part of that was the shortcoming of our own committee. There wasn't, it should have been done better. So anyway.
The one thing I kind of noticed being in the Great Hall for me, and it kind of goes on what you were saying is changing the provider, the platform that we were using, because the one thing that a lot of us had is we were given the ability to mute or push people to rooms and stuff like that. But with that came this big red button down at the bottom that said close all rooms. And I know that happened at least once, and it wasn't me that did it, but
someone closed all the rooms by accident?
Yeah, that happened on the last day that I was there. That was the big crash. Sydney was actually in when that happened.
Wow,
And
I'll have to ask her later who did it because I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was a whole, because the host that opened the room gets complete control. And then he gives the control to a few other people that are in the room, like myself or somebody else. And then if he leaves the room and clicks the wrong button, that closed the whole thing off. So the only thing that was still going was the clinics. That dropped everything. So it'd be nice to get rid of some kind of a platform that doesn't have that big red button at the bottom, because I know every time I tried to leave the room to go to one of the breakout rooms or something, or push somebody somewhere, that button almost called your name every time that you pushed it.
But Sparky, it's red. That means don't hit it unless you really need to do whatever it says, right? Come on, man.
Yeah, but it was about as big as the sun behind you. So,
I do want to mention something else, because people are kind of mentioning this on the chat, which is, can you still go see the clinics? And I don't know for sure, but they might still be allowing people to register, because the clinics are available till August 7th online. So if anybody's interested, if you search for Rails by the Bay in Google or whatever your favorite search engine is, it'll take you to a page that I don't know if they're still allowing for registrations or not, but even now you can still register. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really good content though. Apparently I'm being told that you can register until this coming Saturday. So I think it's, if you're interested, the thing is though, now, this is like fair, whatever you want to call it, fair warning, or what do you call it when you're telling someone something like that? I don't remember. I'm totally fried right now, but yeah, I'm still in recovery, guys, from this.
I wouldn't doubt it with the amount of work that you did.
That's why I was out shooting arrows. I have not looked at a video since last week because I just need a break.
I was so busy last week with, I went into a lot of the other stuff too, and I wasn't even working, but I had the word staff up there, so I did kind of help out in some of the rooms and stuff like that. I wasn't on YouTube a lot last week either. So
yeah. Oh, I know what I was thinking of. Full disclosure. That's what I was thinking of. Full disclosure.
So we'll end it with you for just a second. I want to hear James' side on this.
Oh, I apologize.
So another thing is,
I'm just going to start talking again.
Some of the clinicians may choose to upload their stuff to YouTube. I know, because I believe you said that its ownership is theirs, right, of their clinic.
Yeah. Right.
They may choose to upload their own stuff if they contact John for that information.
Right. Yeah, I talked to Dave about that yesterday, James. Yeah. And what I told him at lunch was that clinic belongs to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him if he wants to upload it on the SVL channel or something, to contact me, and I'll let him know how much to pay me to get it.
Okay. Do we have to pay Phil as well?
No, I was just joking. Yeah, that was the joke. And the important thing is everybody at the table laughed. So
yeah.
what I was going to say about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't remember what Sparky's question was a little bit.
Oh, what would you change to make it better?
It would probably be the outreach thing, and the fact that it brought up that anybody anywhere can view this. I know we had a bunch of people from overseas, but it wasn't as many as I had thought, and I don't know what our membership is overseas, whether or not the same percentage of overseas people joined as here in the United States, but I think it would definitely be the getting more people into it to see this stuff. That would be the big thing, because
That's
I
what
knew
I'm
about
kind
it.
of hoping. Yeah.
I knew about it. I knew it was going to be virtual because I know John and whatnot, and I'm part of PCR for the area. However, I think that the other thing is maybe other divisions. I don't know how well they were pushing it and whatnot, trying to get people to come to it, since it was easily available to everybody, and maybe more top level coordination. That might have been.
How many layout tours were there, John?
49.
Layout tours.
49.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was a couple comments in there that people go to the shows, train shows, conventions, stuff like that, to see layout tours.
Mm-hmm.
And you had them, and they were brilliant.
Yeah.
So, like
The layout tours, I'll say the layout tours, I think in video form so just so people understand, the layout tours were videos. They were mostly the videos that I've done, because I've produced layout tour videos of most of the good layouts in the Bay Area. And so what we did was, since the layout tours were recorded and presented that way, we had what we called layout owner panel discussions on certain nights. And they were actually on, I think, every night of the week. We had 1 or 2 layout tour panel discussions where they brought in 4 of the layout owners and talked for an hour and took questions, right? So I think that people got a better chance to talk to the layout owners, because not only did they do the live panel discussion, but those people also went into the breakout rooms afterwards for face-to-face live. So the feedback from the attendees was that the layout tours were one of the best features of this convention, because it allowed you a lot more access to the layout owners than you could have possibly gotten in person, right? Because when you go to an in-person convention, you go on a layout tour, you get on a crowded bus and you see maybe 4 layouts for the entire afternoon. So you're missing clinics, and then you get into a crowded layout room with a bunch of other guys, and then onto a stuffy bus, and it's like you don't get a chance to talk to the layout owner, not like you did at this convention. So there was a lot of really awesome interaction and chances for people to talk to master model railroaders. Because I don't know if you guys talked about this, but after every single clinic, the clinician went into a breakout room and talked for as long as people were there. So you could ask someone like Jack Burgess, for example, as many questions as you want. So it was really cool, and people had a great time. All the feedback that I saw, the people there had a wonderful time, and a lot of the people there said there's no way they could have gone to a real in-person convention at all, and they were like, I would have paid twice as much for this. Sorry, James.
I heard that a lot. I heard
It was
that a
really
lot.
hot here. It
What
was
did you say,
really
James?
hot here for a couple of days
Uh-huh.
during the convention. So you got to sit at home in the AC. You got to miss out for the really hot weather. I think Saturday was probably the hottest. But yeah, it was pretty hot those days. So you didn't have to worry about walking out to your car,
Mhm.
getting on a stuffy bus with a lot of people, etc. That was one thing that I was thinking about on Saturday. And I live in the area that it would have been. I would have loved to go to an in-person one. I was looking forward to it before everything got canceled. But sitting there on Saturday, I was like, man, this is just so much of an advantage today. Like, wipes the whole thing off the board, because I think it was over 105 in San Jose or something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely hot.
Yeah.
So
And I
there's
was sitting
something
in a
else.
nice basement.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's something else that virtual conventions save you a lot of money. You know, I remember I couldn't believe people were complaining about $49. Like, really? Right? That's not even the cost of a good piece of rolling stock in HO
Yeah, but
scale,
like I said,
right?
the problem with the $49, it was virtual, and virtual is so new to this side of the pond. People don't know what you're getting for $49. When you can sit here and watch YouTube, and it doesn't cost you anything except for that join button down at the bottom of my screen. But
Well,
plug.
right.
So
But the other
$49, people had to look at and kind of go, well, if I do that, like, what am I gonna get? Do I have to sit in front of my screen? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it all day? Do I miss things? Like, it is new, and I will say personally that we did have a lot of people come back and say, I pay twice this amount just for what I got out of this, and they only intended 3 days of it. So
Another thing is, now that we have all this information, commercials can be made with it for the next one. Like, here's an idea of what you're going to get, instead of kind of, you know, a lot of people were up in the air if they didn't do the PCR regional convention earlier in the year. You know, they got that big advantage of doing or seeing it now, you know, hearing about it now. So that's one thing for future years.
Look at what Sean McGee just said.
yeah, I was gonna say, even people now are saying 49 is worth, like, travel alone.
Uh-huh.
Look at me coming
That's-
from Ontario to California. It would cost me probably $1,200 round trip, and then the hotel on top of that, because your garage is too small for me.
Yeah, you know how much that cost because you were out here for 5 days a couple of years ago. How much was it? It was in the thousands.
It cost me about $3,000, and that was the hotel and my airfare. You drove me around. That didn't cost me anything. Like, food was every other day I was buying it type thing. Like, you know what I mean? I still had advantages of having a friend over there, but if you're going over there for a convention, you're not going to meet up with friends and stuff. You're staying in the hotel. You're buying all your food by yourself, or you're meeting new people, and you might want to wine and dine them because you like them, or whatever goes on with it, right? So $49 is nothing. And kind of one of the last things I want to say about this, because I'm just passing my hour. It's not too big of a deal, but if you guys ever see, and this goes out to everybody in the chat, if you see a convention coming up or something like this for $49, I am going to say jump on it. I'm going to say register, sign up for it, pay your $49, go to it, and you're going to find out a lot. It's worth twice, at least. Half the clinics that you could go to, the people you meet is the biggest thing I can say, because, like I said, I was part of the Grand Hall. So I was meeting everybody that showed up, sending them to rooms, sending them to breakout rooms, talking to them, getting to know people and everything else. I'm telling you right now, if you go to a convention in person, you will not meet as many people as you will on a virtual convention. So just try it. Just sign up for it, try it, give it a shot. If you like it, you're going to do it again, and I guarantee you're going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it, what's $49? Like I said,
another thing is you didn't have to be
$100. So
you didn't have to be an NMRA member to go to this either.
Nope.
So that's one advantage. Is, I know a lot of people don't want to sign up for the NMRA for various reasons, and you don't have to sign up. And maybe that's something that the NMRA can think of for the future. Any of the virtual stuff, why limit it to NMRA membership?
And it wasn't limited. So like you said, anybody could have signed up for that and gone. And, I'm not going to get in on the whole NMRA discussion. That's a whole different show and other guests and stuff like that. But the president that is coming down the pipe right now and getting his feet wet, he's planting his feet, and he has some ideas that it's going to be something to join in about a year. I'm telling you, it's changing. It is really changing. The old fuddy-duddies like John here are going off to the wayside. Young people are coming up. So
yeah, it'll be good. Old guys like
he's
me.
only a year older than I am, I think.
Well, I just turned 50, so. But no, the NMRA itself is changing. Like I said, that's a completely different subject.
Yeah,
it's going to be what we're going to do in about a year. So yeah, that's my little pep talk about, yes, if you see it, sign up for it, guys, conventions or whatever. You guys could give your little closing statements on it. Tell people to sign up for this stuff or tell them not to. It's up to you. So
well, I wouldn't say sign up for anything that comes along. I'd say see what it is and then decide if you want to sign up for it.
It's a
Just
convention.
because just because we did a good job doesn't mean that everybody's going to do as good of a job. And I do want to say, because Split Rock was saying something about convincing people to pay for something they could see for free. They can't see what we showed for free. They can't.
No.
There's no one out there providing the quality that we provided. They just aren't. Not for free. I mean, on my channel, there's a lot of good stuff like that for free, but you're not going to get 80 clinics or whatever, 75 clinics in 1 week for free anywhere. That's the same going to happen. Not at the quality of what it was, including all the social interaction and all the questions that you could ask the clinicians. That just doesn't happen anywhere. So, but now what I would say about signing up is support virtual stuff for sure, because virtual stuff is accessible by everybody. There are people that live in places that they can't get to conventions, whether it's because they're mobility challenged, financially challenged, whatever the case is. Maybe they just live too far away. I mean, there are people that live 6 hours away from the nearest airport and they can't get someplace, right? So I mean, yes, do support virtual, but don't necessarily sign up for everything, because it might be someone charging for junk. You never know.
Yeah, no, I was assuming, I'm sorry, that I did kind of mean the NMRA or the more up to, like Train World put on a pretty good one, but it wasn't the quality that you put out at all. Like the NMRA, far better. So
I didn't get to see that one. So
yeah, I saw part of it, and it was exactly what we're doing right now. That's how they put on their Springfield convention this year. It was live. They came in, they did their spiel. This is what we got to sell. It blurted out every once in a while. Again, all the live streaming quality, it's out there, was part of it. So
yeah, CP368 Productions is saying you can't serve everybody virtually either, and that's true.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's saying to have only virtual conventions. I don't think that's the answer. I think we should have virtual conventions, and we should also have in-person conventions. But I don't think we should do one to the exclusion of the other. And you don't have to. This is not a zero. That's a false dichotomy. It's not one or the other. You can do both, and you can do both very well, as we proved, I think, last week. So,
the biggest thing I can say to Split Rock about his comment that he just put up there is, like I've said before, when you go into these virtual conventions, you are front row. You are watching. You are listening. You can turn up your volume. You can make your screen bigger. You get the best experience that you can get for $49. You go to that train show that you spend $50 to, and you're fighting the crowds. You might be late. There's people in front of you. You can't hear them. You can't see it. To me, virtual is kind of the way to go. So,
yep.
But again,
and do you know the other good thing about it?
I want to get out. So
yeah, the other good thing about doing it virtually is that you're the only one farting in the room.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
You're the only one that smells when you douse yourself in coffee or potentially other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, jeez. If anybody else has any questions for the guys up, like I said, John was a big part of the virtual convention. He put a lot of the clinics together, the videos together. During the Tuesday to Sunday, John was taking part in a lot of it. I was there for quite a bit of it. James was there. Sydney, I'm telling you, broke her back for what she did for that clinic, getting everything to run perfectly, emails, links.
The amount of emails coming out of that, John got flagged as spam by Google for me.
Yeah, well,
at one point.
Yeah, that was only because it was for me, I think.
And there was also something else to look at. Something else to look at this virtual convention is there was over 100 volunteers that made that thing go. So I'm just saying thanks to all those guys too. So a lot of people made that a good event.
Yeah, we had, I think, probably the best volunteers I've ever seen. They did stuff that they had to learn how to do. It's hard because if you already know how to do something, it's easy. You just do it. But Sydney and I both had to develop these little training programs. You know, where you had to think of everything, so that you're basically telling someone who knows nothing how to do something that they've never done before. It was very time consuming, but everybody did an awesome job. I was really proud and excited for, with all the volunteers.
Well, I
Can't
had a
say
good
enough.
time for it. So
To add to Split Rock's comment, I think now that we've done one, if the same production value gets put into them, and we can have a way to guarantee that the same production value gets put into it without, always needing the same 10 to 10 people, that would be a good way to say, here's what you're going to get with this, and that'd be a good way to convince people as well. But we got to figure out how to do that, and I think that taking notes and whatnot will be a good way to do that, and finding people who are good at this stuff as well.
And Sydney, you can actually post the link, or John can. You're both moderators, so.
Oh, I don't have a link to it.
Well,
I
last thing
think-
I'm going to say in closing just is I was going to have a contest tonight, but I was watching the numbers in the chat. We got to have a few more people in the chat to give these away, because Kirby products are not cheap. And, well, next week, maybe we'll get a few more people in the chat, and I still have a giveaway to do then. So,
Yeah, I don't know if it's okay to mention it, Dave, but we're doing a live thing on Sunday. That's going to be a few of the members of the planning committee and the tech committee from the convention. And we're going to talk about sort of the outlook on virtual conventions. Should it happen? What would it look like? How can we do it? We've been talking about possibly doing what we're calling a hybrid convention, where you have the live in-person convention like you normally would, but you also do a virtual component, so people who can't come are able to attend also.
are you doing that on TSG Multimedia?
Yeah, that's on TSG Multimedia on Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time.
Well, make sure you send me a reminder.
Yeah, I think
I
it'll be
wouldn't mind
good.
getting on that.
I think it'll be a good talk, though, because I've been thinking about this a lot and thinking about what we learned from the one that we did last week. And I have a pretty good idea about how to do virtual conventions in the future that won't require having someone like me in every division, because I don't think there's someone like me that has my skill set with video in every division. There might be, but I doubt it. So I'm just thinking of ways that it could be done that would be effective, so
you
that we can
definitely do
actually
need
reach
help.
people.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know, one person to talk to would be Gordy. He did have a fountain of information in the Great Hall about future conventions, so that'd be worth. So, last words. I'll give it to you guys for like another 2 minutes, and then I'm going to cut it off.
Well, it's all you, James. I'm just a new guy in this.
New to this YouTube thing?
No, new guy in this stream. I didn't even know you were doing this until I got back from the archery range. I'm like, oh, there's a thing with Dave on? Oh, okay.
I know. I sent him a text about 20 minutes before I went live. It's like, you coming on or what? Actually, I sent it to Sid, so you weren't even invited.
Right? So, going to say, it would have been, if you wanted me on, it would have been more effective to send it to me. So, take it away, James.
I don't have much else except for, as Split Rock 323 says, the local divisions run the NMRA, and that's a really good point. If you don't want to take control at a regional or at a bigger level, join your local one, get people going in that area too. Because without the NMRA, things would be like the Wild West in a lot of cases, because there'd be no standards that people would try to be holding these companies to and whatnot. Some of them ignore it anyway, but a lot of them try to kind of get there. So that's one advantage, at least, of the NMRA.
It was one comment I did make a couple times during the convention, is a lot of the divisions have to start talking to more divisions. So if this is going to be the way of the future of getting these live virtual events going all the time now, because I think they are great, they're going to have to talk to each other and see how we do it. You don't want a new crew each time, and I'm pretty sure John doesn't want to be that person doing 80 clinics each time either. So
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We don't need the same 10 people doing it every single time.
well, John, close us out, or if Sydney's
Oh,
got something
I'll
last that
close
she's
us-
want to say, she can come up and wave again. Or
Yeah, I can close this out. I want to, I guess, send a really special thank you to Split Rock for the support over the years. I've often wondered who runs the social media for the NMRA on Facebook, and they've actually shared. I guess Split Rock has actually shared videos of mine from my YouTube channel to Facebook quite often. So thank you very much. And I think that's Thomas, but I'm not sure. Maybe Split Rock could tell us in the thing here. I don't remember if I looked him up, number 635, but I think it's Thomas. So, but thank you very much for that. And I do want to invite people to watch on Sunday, because that's what I thought. Thomas, thank you much for the support over the years. I really do appreciate that. Sometimes I would end up calling Jack Burgess and saying, "Hey, do you know who runs this? Because they keep sharing my videos and it's really cool." So, so thank you. But anyway, but to join us on Sunday is what I was going to say for the live thing that we're doing, and I think that we will have some insight for people that want to learn more about the possibility of how to do this and what it takes to put on a virtual convention. That's the quality that we did. I think that's the key right there, is because you have to have quality. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this and it'll be junky, but we want people to go anyway." So,
hey, everybody, I just posted the link to TSG Multimedia's channel. I'll post it a couple
thank
more
you.
times. Remember, Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific, you said? Is that what it's called?
4 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, and if you go on to that channel that the link just came in for, there's a little tab that you can find where it says upcoming live streams, and you can even put a little reminder to yourself that you want to watch it. So
I'll just
I
wait for
think
you to
that's-
text me.
who, me?
Yeah, I'll wait for you to text me.
Well, I hope I
I'm live,
remember
hurry up.
now.
Well, hey, I do it 20 minutes before mine. You can do it. Same thing.
Yeah. Before a show like that, I'm preparing. It's not like this where you just come on and don't do any preparation. I actually have to prepare for those things.
Yeah, you sure do. Okay, well, I thank you guys for coming on, James. It was great to hear your perspective of it. And John, I'm personally, all I can say to you, bud, is thank you, and thanks to Sydney for doing what you guys did. It was awesome.
Well, thank you.
That's all I got, guys.
Thank you for your volunteerism and and everything else that you know about.
As long as I'm second on your list next time, I'll do her again.
You'll always be a number 2 on my list.
Oh man. Okay, we're out of here.
And with that, good night.
Still got 50 people watching. Thanks very much, everybody, for checking it out. And like I said, I just wanted to get the news out there. I know it's a little bit late, but I do think the virtual conventions are a thing that is going to be part of our future. It's here to stay, I'm pretty sure. So
We should make
all I
it
can say
stay.
is check it out.
Yeah, we should make it stay, because it allows a lot more people to be involved who otherwise have no option to be involved. And there's no reason why we should leave people out.
I do agree.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to hit the X button. So you guys have a good night. And Sid, I don't know where you went, but thanks. Come on, wait.
She's right here.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks, because you're up next, aren't you, John?
I'm up next. Oh, next week. Yeah. I'm going to be up next week with
Michelle.
Right. Yeah, we're doing live with Michelle at your time slot next week on my channel.
That's it. So, again, there's the link again. And that's it. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.